Welcome back to the Daily Drum on WHUR 96.3, 96.3 HD2, Sirius XM Channel 141. I'm Bramante Bryant in for Harold Fisher. This is the Insight segment. Well, they are the heart and soul of education's everyday warriors. You may call them the unsung heroes in the classroom, but we don't always hear their stories of triumphs and challenges. Tonight, a conversation with substitute teachers, their resilience, creativity, and impact on student lives, one classroom at a time. Joining me tonight is Michaela Myrtle Washington. She's the president of the Washington Substitute Teachers United, also known as WSTU. Lydia Curtis, she's the vice president of WSTU, and Ellen Gaskill, also vice president of WSTU. Ladies, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
So let's start with a couple facts. There are over nearly 800, let's say that 820,000 substitute teachers currently employed in the United States. 73% of all substitute teachers are women. 27% are men. The average substitute teacher is 42 years old. And according to the DCPS website, that's the District of Columbia Public Schools website, substitute teachers in DC make about $160 a day, about $80 for half a day. Long-term subs, about $200 for a full day. So that's some of the background information about substitute teachers, sort of nationally and here locally in the District of Columbia. So we're going to start, Ms. Washington,
Yes.
president of the WSTU.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about what do you love about substitute teaching, if that's the right word, and what fuels your passion, if that's the right description.
I was supposed to become a substitute teacher after college. That was the plan. I'm
Not
an
a teacher, but a substitute teacher.
No, I'm sorry. I was supposed to become a teacher. Let me say
Okay.
that. Apologize. I was supposed to become a teacher after college. And that was the plan from middle school. Okay. But things started opening up for women. But when I graduated from Howard University, so I went to Union Theological Seminary and then I went to law school. But I still had a love for helping others. So when I finally decided to retire, not all the way, I said, let me go back. And what I love about teaching is sharing with children things that they would not ordinarily get in their classrooms. And that's not to say I don't do the lesson, but in addition to the lesson, I do some information giving that they don't ordinarily get. So I love that part of what I do.
Same question for you, Ms. Gaskill. What is it about substitute teaching that brings you back year after year, day after day, week after week?
It's kids in the school, getting to meet all different kinds of children. I particularly liked working with kids with special needs. And because in a previous life, I was a tech facilitator at an elementary school in North Carolina. And we worked with children with special needs, working with technology with them. So I guess I'd say it's the kids and also the relationships we formed with other staff members, especially during the pandemic, because I was able to help my full-time teacher with the technology that she wasn't used to. So that was a plus for both of us.
And how about you, Ms. Curtis? What brings you back?
Thank you. I too love the flexibility. I like being able to teach at different schools if I prefer to do that. I like being able to teach different grade levels. I like being able to control my schedule and bring, because most of us are very experienced and maybe come from other careers. We bring all that life experience into the classroom. So, we share what we know from our professions and from our life experiences, and give the children a little bit something extra. So that's it can be very stimulating.
I want to be clear from sort of my own mind to make sure I'm hearing and knowing correctly, and for our audience. Miss Curtis, have you ever been a full-time teacher?
I have.
You have. Miss
Yes.
Gaskill? Okay, former full-time, and Miss Washington?
No, never.
Never. Okay, so we've had 2 former full-time teachers and 1 who has never been. Now, let me say for just openness and clarification, I have been a substitute teacher, not in the DC public schools, but in Prince George's County schools when I first got out of college, and the Montgomery County public school system. So I'm bringing that to bear in this conversation, but I will let you all dominate. One of the things that I wanted to talk a little bit about too is one of the public service announcements that your advocacy group WSTU put out, and I want to sort of read this. It said, if you are a substitute teacher in a DC public school or served as a substitute teacher in 2022, 23, or 24, please grab a pen and paper now so you can join the Washington Substitute Teachers United. WSTU was formed in 2018 as an advocacy group to support substitute teachers in their work and lobby for better pay, health insurance, sick leave, and legal protections. We need you, so give us a call. Miss Washington, tell me why you need more to be part of this advocacy group. I read here, look, we need to advocate for pay, health insurance, sick leave, legal protections. Let's start with better pay, lobbying for that.
Yes.
Obviously, the group doesn't feel like the pay is commensurate with the work that you put in. Why hasn't that pay matched the work that you put in?
Not at all. I became a substitute teacher in 2013. Around July 20th, 2018, DCPS held a focus group with substitute teachers. I attended along with about 15 others. The most important topic for me and others was a pay raise for substitute teachers. On July 20th, 2018, we learned that substitute teachers had not received a pay raise since 2008. At that time, we also learned that the City Council had recently said no to a raise for us. So on Monday, August 20th, 2018, the first day of school, Bill Mendelson, DC Council Chair, visited my school. I took the opportunity to ask if he was responsible for refusing to give DCPS substitute teachers a pay raise. I believe he said something close to this. Substitute teachers received a pay raise when the teachers did. He did not even know that substitute teachers did not get a raise with DCPS teachers.
Is that because
Yes.
Substitute teachers are not part of the same? We don't need to get into the union thing, but are they not part of the same union as full-time teachers? Is that the issue?
Well, we're not a part of a union at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess he was thinking whatever happens with regular teachers also happens to substitute teachers, but that is certainly not the case.
Okay.
And that's when we realized that we needed to do more to make certain that they were educated as well. All right.
Yeah. Ms. Gaskin, I think the interesting thing here too is I think anybody who has been in a school, and this is including students, and hopefully all of us have been to elementary, middle, or high school at some point. When the substitute walks in or the student walks in the classroom and they see the substitute sitting there, and you two have been full-time teachers and now substitutes, we all know the students go, oh, all right, free day. Now, Miss Gaskill and Miss Curtis may not be here, but it's a day off. And maybe I may turn around and not even walk in the door if I get the word that the substitute teacher is there. So let's just talk about the challenges that I think even our audience understands substitute teachers face. Has that changed from day one to now since substitutes have come into the classroom and the challenges they face in the classroom? Can we talk a little bit about that in terms of how you deal with students as a substitute teacher? What are the skills that you need? And are they different than, a full-time teacher needs?
You need extra behavioral management
And
skills.
you said that twice.
Yeah. And I do think it's changed. I just think back when I was a kid, a substitute teacher was a teacher. That substitute teacher could call my parents.
Mm-hmm.
today, you know, the teacher, and that's a problem. The teachers, substitute teachers, anyone in the school system is managing things that teachers really shouldn't have to manage, but they're doing it. They're having to be the family for a lot of kids. So,
and Miss Curtis, listen, this is, before we go to break, I wanted to ask this too. And I want to get back to the pay thing. That pay, just in general for teachers, let's just say even full-time teachers, that's always an issue. We don't pay teachers enough. And so then when you get to substitute teachers, and we read off those numbers, it definitely is not enough. But yet you see in every jurisdiction in this area and probably across the country, there are not enough substitute teachers to go around. And so if we know that, and that pay is not matching what you have to go through as a substitute teacher, how does it still bring you back into the classroom? Then is it not so much about the money, but the students? How do you balance those two things?
Well, it's a very good question. That's one of the reasons why we exist, so that we can advocate to get the pay that we deserve. Most substitute teachers love children, love schools, love the concept of a public education, and want to support that in every way. And so that's part of our commitment. And in terms of the skill set, it is a different skill set. First of all, you have to have a very thick skin.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to understand that a lot of children have anxiety issues, and they bond with their regular teacher. And if they see a stranger, it's almost like stranger danger. So they act out. And so when I come
Okay, now hold on. That is very interesting. That
Yes.
what you're saying is sometimes the students feel a sense of tension,
who
anxiety
is this
with a
person
substitute
walking in my classroom telling me what to do? So when I come in, I immediately establish a continuity between the teacher and myself. I said, well, I talked to Miss So-and-so, and she told me exactly what she wants me to do. And then I show them the paper, I hold up the paper and say, we're going to follow this, and it'll be the same thing that you do every day. And that
Do we
seems
have
to
to?
bring the tension level down a little bit.
Okay, but do you, and again, now this is me putting on my substitute teacher hat. We've got about a minute and a half. Do you have to come in and scare them a little bit, though, as a substitute teacher? Do you
I
have
think,
to say,
yeah, yes,
that's what I
think you
found. I
do.
can't lie. I feel
You
like,
have to
thank you,
use
Miss
the
Washington.
voice. I
It's
think
the
you have
voice
to
level.
use the
Exactly.
voice. And
Okay.
and before we take a break, can we put out our email address so that
Yes.
just in case
I was going to
someone
make
has
sure we
pen and
make sure we
pencil?
do that. So let's do that
Super.
first, because we still
Okay.
have about 2 minutes. But if folks want to find WSTU, tell them how to do that, Miss Washington.
Yes, you can find us at dcps.substitutes with an S on the end .organize@gmail.com. If I could say it one more time,
Sure.
dcps.substitutes.organize@gmail.com. That's
And is there
very,
a
very
phone
important.
number that they, some
Not
folks
at
still go
this
by
point.
phone?
Not
Okay.
right now. There's no phone number right now, but if they could use that email address, we would respond immediately, because we are looking for numbers. We really do need numbers. We need to impress the mayor, the city council, and some other school people like the chancellor, who has, we've met with him several times concerning our plight. Of earning $20 an hour. They went up from $15 an hour to $20 an hour after how many years? It's crazy. It really is, in this rapidly gentrifying city. It does not make sense at all. It's almost as like they don't want us, but they need us.
And to be concrete,
and
we would love
hold your
about
thought,
300 more
Miss Curtis.
substitute teachers.
Yeah.
Okay, hold your thought. And I want to talk about that, Miss Curtis. Let's just take a quick break. Don't forget, you can
Okay.
hear every edition of the Daily Drum Insight segment via podcast on WHUR.com, or you can download the 96.3 HD2 app on your smartphone and hear the program live in its entirety. This conversation about substitute teachers continues online and on SiriusXM channel 141 and 96.3 HD2. The original Quiet Storm is next on 96.3 WHUR. Welcome back to the Daily Drum on Sirius XM Channel 141, 96.3 HD2. I'm Bramante Bride in for Harold Fisher. Tonight, our focus is on substitute teachers, the challenges, the triumphs. It is not for the weak, let me say. Substitute teaching is not for the weak. And as I
Not
said
at all.
at the top of this show, I'm speaking from experience, having
You
been a
know.
substitute teacher. I'm afraid of the elementary side. I'll say that. I haven't done that yet. But I think middle school might be the toughest challenge because
I think so. I think middle school is the
they're
toughest.
right in, they're in the middle. So am I a teenager, an adult
Yes,
kind of, or am I still in
exactly.
elementary school?
But
know-
Mr. Bryan, that starts in elementary school, like the fifth grade. Fifth
Mhm.
graders become
Fourth
middle
grade.
schoolers, maybe even fourth graders become middle schoolers. And it's incredible to see the change.
Mm.
Okay.
Mhm.
You go from students running over to you, hugging you, and giving you, high five or whatever.
Don't put your hands on me
Don't touch
because I can
me.
call
Don't
someone.
look at
That's right.
me. As a matter of fact, I really don't like you, and it really
Well,
is incredible.
I'm
Miss
afraid of
Gaskill-
those middle and high schoolers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
I like
think
the babies.
I think I
You
heard all
like them.
three of you saying, or at least echoing,
Uh-huh.
Miss Washington, when you started this, when I said, do you have to kind of come in as the substitute teacher? I can say, I'll be honest, I have
Mhm.
had to come in and say, listen, here's the deal. Miss Washington, Miss Gaskill, Miss Curtis, they're not here today, but they've left instructions. Now, if you want to do the work, that's great. If you don't, put your head down, go to sleep, but we're not going to be climbing the walls, climbing out windows and all that other stuff. If you don't want to do your work, I'll let the teachers know,
Mhm.
but we're not going to have chaos.
Mhm.
I think substitute teachers would love to come in and go, hello, everyone. How are you? I'm Miss Curtis. I'm Miss Gaskill. I'm Miss Washington. We're going to have a good day. I found that has been difficult, that you've got to come in with that voice, Miss Gaskill. Is that sometimes a bad thing, or can you sort of never go wrong with that? I know that's sort of an absolute question, but
Yeah, I can't speak to that because I don't have that voice. But what I would
Okay.
try to do, and a lot of us try to do, is establish relationships in one particular school
Mhm.
so that we know kids. We've had them for several years. We've had their brothers, their sisters. We know their parents, that kind of thing.
That's a
And that
great point.
that is
So you say
my
it's best not to bop around if you can work it out. Is that what you're saying, Miss Gaskill?
that for me, that worked well. Other people are great at doing that. So it's, that's the flexibility that's in the job. Different people can do different things.
And Miss
And
Curtis,
I've done both.
yeah, I think I heard you talking too. I think
Yeah.
you used that word at the top, that you sort of like that flexibility. You've been a full-time teacher. Now you're a substitute teacher. And I guess that's the great part. If you need some money, hey, you're going to get a call. You can work as long as you want. But if you're
Yeah.
like, you know what, today I'm going to go play some pickleball, I'm not going in.
That's
So I
right.
would assume that's the beauty of it, Miss Curtis, especially having done it every day,
That is the
5 days
beauty
a
of
week.
it. That is the beauty of it. And
But the only thing we're talking about it from a different perspective, and I've talked to a lot of our members who are young people who are just coming in
Mhm.
to the system, and a lot of them would stay in that flexible job if they had legal protection, if they had benefits, if they had a livable wage, if they had something that would give them permanence. And right now,
Is that
we don't
is
have
that possible though, Miss Gaskill?
I
And
think
Yes,
it's
and I'll put
I
that to
really
all
think
of you.
possible.
yeah.
It is
I think it's
possible.
I'm looking at Montgomery County, for instance, where the substitute teachers have a contract.
Mhm.
And within that contract, they have legal protection on the job. They have procedures that if somebody makes an allegation against them, they have a procedure that is followed by the county. In the district, that we are excluded from those procedures.
We have nothing. We
Why
just
is that?
learned about a teacher,
I
a
don't know why
substitute
that is.
teacher. Yeah, a substitute teacher was called early one morning and said, "Do not come into the school." And she didn't know what the situation was. What happened? They didn't tell her anything. All she knew was she could not return to that school. So thank goodness they did not fire her. The main office did not fire her. So she was able to go to another school. But she still wants to know what happened. Why didn't they let her know who said what so she could refute it? But because we're not part of a legal system like a union, we have no protection. We really do not have any protection. And that's what we're fighting for. And let me just give you some figures here. As I said earlier, Washington, D.C. is a rapidly gentrifying city. I'm sure you know that. When we compare what we earn $160 a day or $200 possibly, but most people earn $160 a day. New York City substitute teachers earn $211 a day. Los Angeles substitute teachers earn $280 a day. Montgomery County substitute teachers earn $167 a day. That's without certification. But if they are certified and long-term, they earn $238 per day. Chicago substitute teachers earn $182 per day. So, we are here in Washington, D.C., $160 a day is not enough. But
And
those
we know what the cost of living is too in the
Yes.
DC area. It's very
Yes.
high.
So
So then the
it
question
is-
to all, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, it was a slap in the face when we learned that we would move from $15 a day for how many years? But what was it, close to 20 years? Yeah, and from
14.
$15 a day to $20 a day,
hmm
or $20 an hour. From $15 an hour to $20 an hour. It was a slap in the face, and that's what we said, and that's what they wrote up in the Post.
And I
Okay.
guess the counter argument to that, and all three of you are in the hierarchy of your advocacy group, and this is debatable, but I'm sure part of the argument is like, well, listen, that's a 25% raise or 20, right? 25%. Did I get that right? 20 to 25%. So that is an astronomical jump, but I guess your argument is, yeah, but jumping from where?
Yes,
It's the point
exactly.
of where
It's
you're
not a
jumping from.
livable wage.
And not a
Right.
livable wage.
We
Yeah.
started so low. And I just want to add that Washington Substitute Teachers United provides support for its members. And that's why we're trying to expand our membership right now. And
Mhm.
so that person who had
We
that
have-
allegation was able to call us,
Yes.
and we were able to talk to her, calm her
Yes.
down, tell her, give her some advice as to what she could do.
Mhm.
And instead of just feeling like she was out by herself alone. And also we get technical assistance around when we have breaks, how we can keep our income flowing when we're on breaks. We have experts who because we meet twice a month, who can talk to our constituents about that. And so that's why we want to encourage anyone who has been a substitute teacher this year or last year or the year before to contact us, because we need to reach at least 300 more substitute teachers. We have quite a few. 500? Okay. 500 more substitute teachers.
Mhm.
Wow.
This is the way. The public word of mouth and public announcements are the way that we're going to reach them.
And,
So
and
obviously-
as substitute teachers, we share similar experiences at our schools and are bonding over these shared experiences and really becoming family.
Yes.
For some of us, our meetings are group therapy because we understand what is required to be a substitute teacher in DC
Absolutely.
public schools. And we are amid fellow workers who sympathize and give amens because they also know. And add to that, we love what we do.
And
Is there-
advice. Our members give us advice as well.
Yes.
You know, they give us information. They give us legal services information just through
Because
their
they're-
own experience.
because they're coming in with experiences outside of teaching.
Yes.
Is that what we're saying?
Exactly.
If there is such a thing as a typical day for a substitute teacher, this is probably not a fair question because there's no typical day really for any teacher.
No.
But if we're sort of describing for folks out there who have really no idea, former students, but you see the substitute teacher, what it's like being a substitute teacher, how you have to prepare yourself.
I'd
How
like
would you
to.
go
I'd like
jump
to
right
give.
in there.
I'd like to give just one day. Okay.
Okay.
I'm a substitute teacher, and I think the people who place me throughout for the day, they kind of know I'm open to various things. I know there are some
Mhm.
people that go into the school, they only want to do that one thing and that's it. Well,
Mhm.
this particular day, they asked me, Miss Washington, the person from the cafeteria cannot serve breakfast. Can you go out there and give breakfast to the children who are coming in this particular entrance? I said, okay, I'm here from 8 to 3:30, so I can do it. But listen, let me tell you, I was so gratified. I was so glad they asked me to do it because when the children came in and they saw me, hi, Miss Washington, how are you? I got hugs, I got kisses, I got fist bumps, and while giving them their breakfast.
Mhm.
I mean, that's the first time I had ever done that, and I had no idea how they would receive me doing it. They loved it. My children loved it. I loved it. By the end of the breakfast period, I was smiling. They were smiling. I had such a good time. I really did. When I know other people would say, no, I'm not doing it. I'm going home. But I said, no, they've asked me, I'm going to do it. So, and I'm so glad that I did. So that was part of my day, the morning part. And that good feeling lasted throughout the day. It really did.
An ideal day for me is if I'm filling in for the specials.
Mhm.
I love
Yes.
library, and
Yes.
I can
Same here.
pick up a picture book and make a lesson out of it.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
and I love doing that. That gets my creative juices flowing.
Mhm.
Mhm.
The art class. Those are my
Yes.
favorite specials.
Yes.
And I like doing that.
What about
Those are my ideal days
good?
when
What
I
about
can.
you, Ellen?
Oh, I remember PE. That was fun.
Oh,
I
let me
hear.
let me jump in here because
Yes.
I am a sports guy, and so when I was
Okay.
subbing, I said, "Oh, PE." Now, Miss Watchett, I'm going to get to your point. I'm like, look, I had a couple weeks from like I didn't really want to do a whole lot of talking. Let me just roll the balls out there and just let them do their thing, and I can just make sure
Mm.
there's no chaos. I found that the hardest subject was PE
Wow.
because you really have to, folks are going in and out of doors.
Mhm.
Things are flying all over the place, and I realized I need to be sitting somewhere where I can see Miss Washington, Miss
Mhm.
Curtis, Miss Gaskill, and
Mhm.
they're in
Mhm.
this sort of, closed off area. So for
Mhm.
anybody that wants to be a substitute teacher, if you think gym is easy, in
Yes.
my
It's
estimation,
true. It's not.
it is
You
not.
notice I did not say PE.
I did notice that. And I think Miss Gaskill was being facetious. Were you when you
Oh, I did. No, I did PE.
oh, you liked it.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I did
Well,
PE.
Well,
I had help. I had help. I had
I hear you.
teacher aides, and they were amazing. They were
Well,
very
and
helpful.
I did it high school. I think it could probably be a little bit more fun if you're doing elementary because they're just sort of bouncing
It's
around and
more
kicking the
Yeah,
ball.
chaotic
yeah.
in elementary
Well,
school.
my friend has 3 sons and she's a
Mhm.
substitute teacher. So she knew the sports that the boys like because she had done it with her sons. And so
Mm.
she felt very comfortable taking up the basketball, the soccer ball, whatever it was, and playing with the children. I didn't feel quite so comfortable. I jump rope, okay? And
Yeah,
I
that's
do
great
hula hoop.
exercise.
I can still do hula hoop.
Okay.
But anyway, it's all very, let's see, it keeps me young. It keeps me going.
Mhm.
It
I
really
wanted
and
to
truly does.
get
All of,
back if I could to
Sure.
just some of the people I've talked to this year
Mhm.
that really need to have some representation that we don't have right now.
Mhm.
Yes.
And so if you're a substitute teacher out there, if you know a substitute teacher, dcps.substitutes.organize@gmail.com. Get in touch with us. I can just think of one gentleman who worked at a school for years and years, did their art club after school, did their
Mhm.
bulletin boards, did extra things. He only got paid till what, 3 o'clock, 3:30, but he was there till 4:30, 5 o'clock. Got called into the office and said, somebody said something about you and he never did find out exactly what it was. We don't think we're going to use you anymore.
Mm.
And if
Mm.
he had representation, if he had a union, if he had somebody to speak up for him, he would have had some place to go, somebody to call.
Yes. True.
So
That's
that's
where we
my
are.
goal is to
Amen.
get some
That's
people.
where we are now. That's where we have to go. Unfortunately, we have been working for the last, since 2018, really from 2019 to now, to get representation. We can't go into any detail. Would love to share more information with you regarding that, but at this point, we cannot say more than that. Okay.
At this
But
point,
we do need
DCPS.
representation when we're looking around for that. Yes.
Do you all feel that you have support from the school administrations and the full-time staff? And again, Ms. Gaskill and Ms. Curtis, you both have been full-time teachers. Is there a symbiotic relationship with substitute teachers and those sort of two factions of the school?
From my perspective, I would say yes.
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 You would agree, Ms. Gaskill?
Yes. Yes.
How about you, Ms. Washington, not having been a full-time teacher, but coming in as a substitute?
Yeah, most times it's yes, we do get help from the regular teachers. Most times, I would say, not all the time. Most times, okay.
And
because they, let me just add this.
No, go right ahead. Mhm.
They don't see. I think they don't see us necessarily as having the kind of education, the kind of experience they have. And sometimes I feel some of them, not everybody, they look down on us. But when I say that I have a master's degree and I have a Juris Doctor degree, they say, like, okay, we can see you a little differently now. But yeah, I think that there is some kind of, unfortunately, some kind of prejudice sometimes with substitute teachers. Yes.
Also, one of the things we really, really have been asking for over and over again is more professional development, not just in, I don't know what of these things they give us, but dyslexia, classroom management, behavioral management. We need those skills. Everybody that's working in a classroom, even teachers are doing that up over and over again. They're retraining themselves. We need that as well.
Is that hard though, to ask substitutes to go that extra mile for the money that we're getting back to, right? And then ask them to do more training. If they're sort of hired hands.
They have professional development. And the Chancellor Farabee has given us the opportunity. We can attend professional development if we choose to and get paid for it.
Okay.
And most of us want that. So.
Yes, we do. And he said that's an easy thing for him to do. And he did it.
There's an easy.
Yes.
Is it easy? Is it a challenge?
Lydia has been actually doing some outreach.
Okay.
Yeah. So in order to beef up our numbers, we have been more aggressive now, starting at the end of the summer and into the fall, about we're going out to public gatherings, festivals, things like that, and giving out our flyer. We have a beautiful flyer that we've developed, and encouraging people to reach out to dcps.substitutes.organize@gmail.com to sign up with us. And so I was at the H Street Festival. I talked to a lot of people there. And anywhere I go, I take flyers and encourage our members who come to the meetings to do the same. And so we are on a campaign between now and the end of the year to reach as many substitute teachers as possible.
Let me ask this. I know we're talking about DCPS, but as I mentioned, I've substituted in Prince George's and Montgomery County. And Ms. Washington, you talked about, the pay rate, at least in Montgomery County. I don't know if you mentioned Prince George's County.
No, I didn't.
Right. But is that a challenge at all for DCPS substitute teach and getting substitute teachers into the district when you have such, large jurisdictions that are bordering you, that you may have to compete for substitutes as well, in Prince George's and say Montgomery County? Is that an issue at all as you're trying to build up your numbers?
You would think it would be an issue for the school system. That you would think that DCPS would want to raise their salary so that they could get the best, that they could get the best within this DMV jurisdiction. Okay. Without having to lose them to other places and other people. Like I'm certain that people go out to Montgomery County if they need to substitute teach. And we should be doing it right here in Washington, D.C. sometimes. And this is a different subject, and maybe you'll have us back at some other time. But the gentrification is really major. I mean, I kind of wonder sometimes, are they trying to get rid of all the Black people in the city by not doing the things that we ask them to do, like increase the salary so that we can have more people come in and be substitute teachers. And even teachers are leaving like nobody's business.
And going where? Or just leaving the profession?
Just leaving the profession altogether. Leaving the profession because it's not always easy.
Yeah. And I wanted to get to just the disparity in the numbers. It's been this way since, gosh, I guess once women really started coming into the workforce. We're talking 150 years ago. That was the profession for them. And so, but it seems like those numbers the gap is just growing and growing. 70. Now we're just talking about substitute teachers. And I think it was in the city, right? Or just in general, 78% are women. Only 27% are men. So I fell in that 27%. Is this about image, or is it about money for men, or is it something else? I'll let any one of you sort of jump in on that.
Wow.
Or is that a hard question?
That is a hard question.
I mean, I would think for any, it's, money is not great.
Yeah.
Right.
And the flexibility may be important for some people, more important than the fact that they are not making that much more money. Flexibility.
But we see this on every level though, right? Ms. Curtis, Ms. Gaskill, Ms. Washington. And when I say every level, I mean from secondary education, right? We're talking colleges, universities. We're seeing that trend. And I'm wondering, is that a larger discussion about, what's happening in the profession? And does that impact the advocacy you have? You know what I mean? Is there sort of some kind of gender bias there when you're negotiating for more power, more influence, more money, more benefits?
Yeah.
Yes, we had the just amongst ourselves, we were thinking, if we were a different gender, we would not be in this position.
Exactly.
So we're coming from that. We're assuming that there is inherent bias, and we're working against that. Because they need us, and they should pay us.
What are your thoughts on that, Ms. Gaskill?
I mean, I know there's perception of everyone in education is, and that's why education maybe is looked down on because it's a woman's profession. But hey, Tim Walsh was a teacher. He was a history teacher. So, I think the opportunities for women to make more money in other fields is what is maybe driving all this with education.
Yeah.
Do you feel
plus having to deal with what you have to deal with?
Yeah. Do you feel on the whole the substitute teachers receive the recognition and appreciation that you think they deserve?
No, not at all.
Is that a resounding no? I just hear
For
one.
me, it is. From what I've seen over the last 10 years, I don't think that we get the honor, the respect. We don't get much of that. Sometimes, every now and then, yes. But I know that there was a school where I was at another school, and I said something about the education that was happening at that particular time, and the principal was so angry with me, for making that statement. She didn't want me back at the school until substitute teachers really became sparse. And then she said, "Oh yes, call her." But by then it was too late. There was no way I was going back to her school. So there are things like that happen, I'm sure, everywhere. And like I said, substitute teachers don't get the honor, the respect, the benefits that we should be getting. And I think, again, it's because they don't know of our experiences. A lot of them don't know of our education. For instance, when I'm in the library, and I've had a library quite a bit number of times, I teach our children about Africa. There are videos done by children about their same age, elementary school age, talking about Africa. Our children don't know anything about where they come from, and where we come from, and the positives. They've seen the negatives, heard the negatives, but they've seen nothing about the positives. And that's what I teach. I teach them about, and I also teach them about travel. You've got to see the world. And I bring out the map, the world map, and I show them Washington, D.C. on the map. You see this little teeny place called Washington, D.C.? And look at the world. Look at the world. This is the world. And I point to the places where I have traveled. And I've even brought in travel books so that they can see how you can travel, on ships, on planes to the various places in the world. And my hope is that some of it sticks with them. I remember things from elementary school that stick with me to this day. So I'm hoping that some of it sticks with them as well.
Ms. Curtis, you wanted to jump in there?
I'm so glad, Maskila, that you brought that up, because that's one of the things. Mr. Bryan asked what keeps us in this school, and that proximity to children who need the message is really the glue that keeps me there. Even when I get frustrated, I said, these kids need my perspective. And so I need to be here. So thank you for that.
We've only got about a minute left, and I wanted to get this in, and I know we don't have a lot of time for you to respond, but I was just wondering if, maybe one of you can quickly address, just the violence that we see happening in schools, and guns coming into schools and weapons coming into schools. And I'm sure it's a rhetorical question, but that's a concern. Is it a greater concern for substitutes or just a concern for any teacher, Ms. Gaskill? I'll give you about 30 seconds there.
I would say it's a concern for every teacher, student, parent, everybody. The community at large, it's a concern for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, I thank you all for what you are doing. I thank you.
We want to give out the contact information again.
I'll get there, Ms. Curtis. I got you. But I do want to thank you all I want to make sure I thank you first for all that you do in the classroom, not just for being here. It is not an easy job, full-time teachers or substitute teachers, but feel free to give that information about how folks can get involved and in contact with your group.
Ellen, go ahead.
It's DCPS.substitutes with an S organize@gmail.com.
Thank you, Miss Lydia Curtis, Miss Maskila Myrtle Washington, Miss Ellen Gaskill. They are teachers in the district's public school system, all substitute teachers, former full-time teachers. And again, thank you for your service, and thank you for sharing your stories with us tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks for having
us. We really appreciate
it's been
you.
A pleasure.
And of course, Howard University, HU.
I think we got one. We have
one. Bison.
All right. Thank you, ladies. That's the daily drum for this Thursday, September 26th. I'm Bramante Bryant in for Harold Fisher.